Are you considering calling a snap election this spring?
Today, the Liberals announce free money for 12 million Canadians. Does this set the stage for a spring election? Today's vote buying announcement and new polls that just came out showing that the Liberals, if there was an election today, would win a super majority, and all of your favorite Conservatives would be voted out of the House of Commons. And why are the polling firms showing a surge in Liberal support? It's because of fear of Donald Trump has just hit 1,000%. This is so predictable, and the stakes are so high. This could be Canada's final election. That's how serious this entire thing is. Like I said, this could be the end for Canada unless we fight back. And that leads me to today's show. Let's get into this report. Carney today held a press conference to give 12 million Canadians a bonus. Free money for 12 million Canadians, setting the stage for a potential spring, summer, or fall election. Reporters asked, are we heading to the polls? Check out Mark Carney's response.
News. Are you considering calling a snap election this spring?
Whoa, take a look at that smile. That smile right there says it all. He can't wait for a spring election. Let's see what else Mark Carney had to say.
I'm going to go back to the previous answer. What we're focused on is solutions for Canadians. So today's announcement, we'll be tabling legislation soon, very soon. We would love, and we think it's very important to have collaboration so we can move that quickly through Parliament. So particularly the one-time bonus gets into people's bank accounts as quickly as possible.
So what Mark Carney just did is he's putting it on the Conservatives. If you vote non-confidence for my bonus to 12 million Canadians that are struggling to eat right now, you are against affordability in Canada. The Liberals always have this sneaky little way to turn it on Conservatives. The reason that you can't afford to eat is because of the Conservatives. The reporters were not happy with Mark Carney's response, so they asked the exact same question again.
This feels like many days we spent on the campaign when I was covering the campaign. Lots of grocery stores, lots of affordability. So you're not considering a spring election?
Look at that giggle. Does this look like a man that doesn't want an election?
You can't draw that conclusion at all.
Tell me that.
Well, of course we're not. We're not. We're focused on results for Canadians. We're working through parliaments to get results for Canadians. We are securing trade deals around the world for Canadians, for the future of Canadians. We are identifying major projects for the future of Canadians. We are executing through Build Canada homes for Canadians. We're going to continue to do all of that. We have the privilege of a mandate from Canadians. And I'll say one other thing, if I may, Mr. Craig. We were very clear when we ran in the last election what we intended to do. Very clear, very detailed platform, and we are delivering on that. We invite Parliament to support us in.
I have a question. Is there anything today that is better than it was 12 months ago? Everything in this country is worse. We just got a new food inflation report, which showed that our food inflation is 6.2%, double the United States and the absolute worst food inflation in the G7. They ran a campaign that they were going to move at unimaginable speeds. We still have not one home built with their Build Canada homes. We have run an $80 billion deficit outside of a recession. Life has never been less affordable today in Canada, and that's why he's coming out with this 12 million bonus checks for Canadians. All they've done is created one office of projects of national interest with zero projects. There's no projects. They're moving at snail's speed. Imagine 4 more years of this government. There will be absolutely nothing to show for their entire time in government. Here's Mark Carney's announcement today on this 12 million Canadian bonus.
Everyone pays the same GST on items that they buy, no matter how much money they make. But since groceries and other essentials make up a larger share of the budget of lower income Canadians, the GST puts a higher burden on those less well off. The GST credit has helped to make our tax system fairer by returning a portion of the federal sales tax to Canadians with lower incomes, providing relief for people who feel the extra cost at the checkout most acutely. The rise in food prices means that a lot of these Canadians need more support right now. So today we're announcing that our government is launching the new Canada's Groceries and Essentials benefit. This will deliver hundreds of dollars more into the bank accounts of more than 12 million Canadians. Starting this year, we're taking the existing GST credit amount and raising it by 25% for 5 years. And in addition, we're providing a one-time payment equivalent to 50% of the GST credit this year. So what does that mean? Well, right now, a family of 4 receives about $1,100 a year with the existing GST credit. With the new Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, that same family will receive up to $1,890 this year and about $1,400 a year for each of the next 4 years. A single person receives about $540 a year with the existing credit. With the new benefit, that person will receive up to $950 this year and about $700 a year for the next 4 years. On average, these payments make up for the higher level of food prices since the pandemic.
This is insane. So did you get all that? If you have a family of 4, you're going to get an additional $800 this year and then $400 a year after that. And if you're a single person, you're going to make $400 and then $200 after that. Does he not buy strawberries at the store? They're like $12 for a pound. Has he ever shopped a day of his life? You will get 1 bag of groceries for $100. He will be giving Canadians 4 bags of groceries just so he knows that won't last a week. In this economy, there is 52 weeks. So he's giving Canadians that are 12 million Canadians that are below the poverty line because of this Liberal government destroying our economy, crushing all investments in natural resources is the reason that we were rich in the first place, doubling our national deficit in such a short amount of time and unloading millions of new Canadians into our economy, which has masked our GDP. And now we're slowing things down and our GDP is starting to crack. And his genius solution is providing peanuts for the lower income bracket. And can you believe 12 million Canadians could barely afford to eat food, and that's why this government is coming out with this initiative? They have failed so bad that they have to give peanuts to Canadians just so they don't starve to death. This is just a reminder that the old Liberal government is exactly the same as the new Liberal government.
That's why we created the new grocery rebate, which will allow an eligible couple with 2 children to receive up to $467. This is a measure that will help make life more affordable for around 11 million individuals and families.
So today we're announcing that our government is launching the new Canada's Groceries and Essentials benefit. This will deliver hundreds of dollars more into the bank accounts of more than 12 million Canadians.
You know, the only difference is there's 1 more million Canadians that are like in the poverty line. That's the only difference here. Actually, he said $400 Over here is just a couple $100 for 12 million Canadians. This is the Liberal government. We're going to make life more affordable for you by giving you peanuts. I think this is a great time to hear from you. What are people saying in Canada with Mark Carney's wonderful bonus? PM Carney's Canadian achievements so far. Or Robert here, the Liberals have failed, lied in every way possible. Here's the little clip article that says food prices should begin to drop. Now, Champagne says after meeting with major grocers. That was, when was that? That was October 5th, 2023. We're still waiting for those groceries to start dropping. Or the National Roast here says, voters need to find the differences between this government and this government. They're the same government. Yeah, actually, the one on the right is far more expensive than this one, but they are both the same. And Canadians are just figuring this out now.
Well, if it isn't our old friend.
So what are Liberal supporters saying about this bonus payment? Mark Levesque. And how do I know he's a Liberal? Well, look, he's blocked me. So yeah, he's a big time Liberal. Former chief economist at a public sector pension investment board and former chief economist strategist at TD Securities. Let's see what he has to say about Mark Carney's bonus. This is not a good policy. It's blatant vote buying. 1. The GST credit is designed to offset the GST for low-income families, not as a general income transfer mechanism. 2. If you want to provide relief, cut income taxes, not consumption taxes. And you know what? I actually have to agree with his analysis. So how do you qualify for this wonderful bonus payment of a few $100s? If you and your spouse both make under $14.87 full time, you are not eligible for Carney's new grocery rebate. Just so people know, this is lower than the legal minimum wage. Table salt's math here. The math changes a bit if you have more kids, but if you make under $61,000 as a family income, that's around $14 an hour times 2. Here is the income levels chart. You could stop the video and take a look at all of these numbers, but 60,000 is right there. That's the cutoff. So here's the meme. You and your hubby make more than $15 an hour. The best I could do is $0. Canada's currently running an $80 billion deficit every single year with no end in sight. We're not going down at all. How much is this brand new bonus payment gonna cost Canadians?
How much will this benefit the GST credit? How much is this benefit actually going to cost overall, like these new initiatives? And as well, what's to stop grocery retailers from raising their prices to just absorb this benefit?
Okay, so I'll answer both legs of that, obviously. The first, in terms of the numbers, and I'm saying this is a test. You're testing me in front of my minister, who knows it down to the cent. But the cost the first year is a little over $3 billion, $3.1 billion, and the reason for that is this payment, the boost, is the way I referred to it, which makes up for. If you had overall levels of inflation and then food price inflation going like that since the pandemic, can you add a third hand? It makes up for the difference between those two lines. Okay, it makes up for this. So there's that bigger amount. Then in the subsequent 4 years, there's the 25% increase in the GST credit. And there's a bit of a timing thing, but in effect, it goes 3.1, 1.3 billion, and then about 1.8 billion for those last 3 years, okay? There's a timing issue with.
Let's take a look at the numbers. Mark Carney's brand new announcement is going to cost taxpayers $9.4 billion over the next 5 years. Here's their wonderful marketing chart to show how much more Canadians are going to receive to ensure that food security for Canadians is covered. You're going to be able to buy steak. You're going to be able to buy the most expensive caviar. You're going to be able to throw those peanuts in the garbage because you don't need those anymore. Canadians are going to be Single person, look, they're going to make $450 this year. And as a couple, a family, you're going to make about $800 more this year. Donald Trump started calling Mark Carney Governor Carney. When he started calling Justin Trudeau Governor Trudeau, that's when Governor Trudeau's popularity in the polls tanked to the lowest level in Canadian history, and he was forced to resign to be replaced with PM Carney. But PM Carney is now called Governor Carney. Let's hear what Mark Carney has to say about his new title.
Morning, Prime Minister. Michael with CTV News. I just want to follow up on what Tom was asking. Are you offended by being called governor?
I mean, I think in this role you get called a lot of things a lot of time, and I'm not going to comment on every tweet or truth or comment from whoever. So I can handle it.
As a follow-up,
but I do think this point about our troops is fundamental, and respecting our troops and the contribution that they've made.
Wow, a lot has changed since the election. He told Canadians that Donald Trump respects him and he is the right man for the job. All of a sudden, Donald Trump no longer respects him and he's completely fine with it. I want Canadians to notice something. Do you notice that there are no price tags on any of the food items? The Liberals actually removed the prices for their press conferences. Justin Trudeau did the exact same thing. So did Chrystia Freeland. These Liberals don't want you to be able to see how expensive these nutritious food items actually cost. Oh yeah, and also, our Prime Minister has never once in his entire life worn a Canadian pin. It's always the Order of Canada pin. This Prime Minister does not work for you. He works for the global elites, and it's evident every single day. Here's the first time that he was asked by a reporter about Governor Carney.
Since your speech in Davos, we've had Donald Trump threaten fresh tariffs on Canada if we cut a deal with China. He's rescinded your invitation to the Board of Peace. He started calling you governor like he did your predecessor. I'd like to know what you think about all that and what impact you think your speech had on Canada-U.S. relations.
We are entering soon a negotiation or review formally of CUSMA, our agreement, as you know, with the United States and Mexico. It'll be a robust review is the expectation. The president is a strong negotiator. And I think some of these comments and positioning should be viewed in the broader context of that.
Let's take a look at the CEO of the food bank and what she has to say.
You do what your main message is, what you hope to tell them.
Well, what I'm coming with is the voices of the millions of folks across the country right now who are using food banks, as well as the thousands of folks who operate food banks. And we are sending a message that things are really hard right now for folks. We are seeing record levels of food bank use, 2.2 million visits in a single month currently right across Canada. And we need to see action in order to ensure that folks have what they need to have the essentials of life.
Before I get into kind of your suggestions on the action front, I think those numbers are like worth taking a second look at. I know you've had a long involvement with the organization. To what degree have things, in your view, gotten worse?
It's shocking even to those of us in the field to see the numbers grow as they have. Since 2019, food bank use in Canada has doubled. These are community organizations that are showing up to make sure that their community members, their neighbors are fed. We're seeing an increase across the board. Troubling numbers include the number of children. So a third of those using food banks are children. We're seeing an increase in single adults who tend not to be seen in legislative priorities. We're seeing an increase in seniors. And, you know, one of the troubling things that we're seeing is an increase in the number of people who are employed, who have jobs, who are now turning to the food banks across Canada.
And I remember you kind of sounding that alarm now for a few years, right? That this idea that people who are employed are still very, very much in need. What does that say to you?
It speaks to how vulnerable we are as a country. Now, we're talking a lot right now about the strength of Canada, making sure we build a strong future together. When you look at the numbers, we know that food insecurity has to be part of that plan forward. So when you have 24% of the population, or 25 rather, percent of the population, quarter of the population experiencing food insecurity, you can't build a strong Canada, a strong future. We need to address this issue if we want to address the other challenges that Canada is facing.
When you give your bonus payment to the 25% of Canadians, 12 million Canadians, it's going to help them immediately, but it doesn't solve the 6.2% inflation that is occurring right now. And that inflation is increasing. It is expected that the price of meat is going to grow 14% this year. Their $800 for a family of four is not going to cover the food inflation that's going to occur over the course of this year alone until they actually solve the problem, not cover it up with a Band-Aid. We're going to continue to see exploding usage of the food bank. And what is very sad is the people that are voting for the Liberals, thinking that they're getting all of these bonus payments, are the ones that are getting destroyed the most with the record inflation. Well, it's been pretty sad so far, so let's turn things around and start feeling good again. Yesterday, the pleb and I had some fun. There is a Liberal pollster called Polling Canada that came out with a poll in the morning, and it showed that 65 or 69% of Canadians would rather Mark Carney as Prime Minister. So the pleb and I shared it across Canada, and then all of a sudden it blew up, and there was 321,000 views and 46,000 people voted. And we turned this Liberal pollster from 69% Mark Carney in favor to, look, 69% say they would rather Pierre Poilievre as Prime Minister. And I wrote, Canadians reject Mark Carney after announcing the New World Order with China and attacking the United States at the WEF. And here's the plebs post, and we're trolling the Liberals. It is true. The clear winner here is Pierre Poilievre. A brand new liaison poll just came out today and has the Liberals at 42% and the Conservatives at 34%, which shows that the Conservatives are currently collapsing. With the fear of Donald Trump pushed up to 1,000%, there's no surprise here. Does this mean that the Liberals are looking at the polls and saying, you know what, this is a good time? Because if this actually stands, the Conservatives will basically get wiped out in the next election with only 98 seats, compared to a super majority for the Liberal Party. Let's hope that this is all fake polling data. Don't worry, Liaison Strategies is rated B+. They're absolutely terrible. I don't believe the poll for a second. Angus Reid has 41 to 38. They're probably a little bit more accurate, but it's not looking good. We need to have a big time turnaround for the Conservatives to win this next election. If you made it this far in the video, let's have some fun. Here's the National Roast showing Mark Carney hugging Pooh Bear. And we got this wonderful video from RPN to close us off. Enjoy.
Looks like we've caught the Phantom Prime Minister and his pop star sidekick red-handed.
Like zoink! They were trying to tax our Scooby snacks into oblivion.
Fred, do the honor!
Now let's see who you really are.
Jagmeet Singh?
Your turn, Mr. Ex-Prime Minister.
I wonder who it is.
And now for the real mastermind.
Oh my god, it's Fidel Castro?
And I would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for you meddling news kids. God damn you meddling kids.